Hello, and welcome to Microsoft Excel. In this session, we shall focus on Microsoft Excel keyboard shortcuts, where I'll take you through the most useful shortcuts that you need to know in Microsoft Excel. Now, I've shared the Microsoft Excel keyboard screenshot so that you can familiarize with it, even as we look at the shortcuts. So the shortcuts I want us to look at, I have quite a long list. I'll begin with the first shortcut, which is Ctrl A, whose purpose is to select the entire workbook. So if I press Ctrl and then press A, I will select the entire worksheet. The next Microsoft Excel keyboard shortcut that is very important is what we call Ctrl B. This does bolding of the highlighted text. For example, if I want to bold this text here, select entire workbook, I'll press Ctrl and then press B. And my worksheet or my selected text becomes bold. It does also unbold. If I select Ctrl B, I bold it. But again, if I select on the same cell, Ctrl B, it unbolds. So it can be used to bold or unbold. Even if I wanted to bold the whole of this column, I'll select the whole of the column and do Ctrl B. And if I want to unbold it, I'll still do Ctrl B. And it will unbold the whole of the column, but I want what it does to be in bold, so I'll do Ctrl B. If I want to copy a selected text, I can do Ctrl C. So for example, if I want to copy Ctrl C, I'll do Ctrl C. And if I want to paste it somewhere else, which is done elsewhere down here, that's Ctrl V. I'll do Ctrl V so that I can paste it, for example, here. So if I do Ctrl V, the copied text will be pasted here. Now, if I want to insert the value above cell into the current cell, there are two ways I can do it. I can press Ctrl D or press Ctrl and that icon. So let's say, for example, I want to do Ctrl D. On this Ctrl C here, if I do Ctrl D, it copies the above cell. Ctrl D again. You can see it's as if I'm copying whatever is above on the current cell, Ctrl D. So the other one we said is you press Ctrl and press that icon on the keyboard. What you are pressing is this icon over here. So you do Ctrl and press that icon. The next shortcut is Ctrl E, and this automatically recognizes the pattern and flash fills the current column. It automatically recognizes the pattern and flash fills the current column. I have some data here that I've called Ctrl E, and I want us to see how that works. So what I want to do is I have Samuel Peters, so I'll go ahead and write Samuel Peters here, so that it's if I want to combine the surname and the first name. And once I've done that, instead of again going down and saying Adamson Williams, because I can do that, only that it's a long process, especially when I have a long list, I'll just do Ctrl E. And did you see the magic? My Excel has automatically realized that by pressing Ctrl E, I want to copy the formula above to the rest of the cells, such that now it has auto-filled or flash-filled for me the rest of the names from Adamson to Peterson. So that is what we call Ctrl E, or that's the shortcut Ctrl E, and that's what it does. We have Ctrl F shortcut, which opens the find box, and thus allows you to search for characters, for text, and phrases within a spreadsheet. So for example, I can Ctrl F here, and in this particular case, my Ctrl F brings up the find and replace box or dialog box. And if I want to search, for example, cell, I'll type in cell and say find. I can find all or find next. And it will show me where the word cell is in the entire Excel workbook. So you can see as many as they are. But you can as well do by finding one by one. You say find next, and it takes you to the next one. Like this one has cell, you do next, it takes you to the next one as such. So Ctrl F does open the find box, which allows you to search for characters, for text, and phrases within a spreadsheet. Probably you want to search a certain phrase or a certain text or a certain character. It is easy for you, instead of going through the whole workbook with your eyes, and sometimes the eyes might not see it. Excel has that Ctrl F shortcut that can enable you to find whatever character, text, or phrase that you're looking for. We have Ctrl G, which has an alternative of pressing F5. That's the function key F5. And you press Ctrl plus G, you are pressing Ctrl G, it opens the go-to window that allows you to focus a specific reference or cell. The alternative for Ctrl G is F5. So you go and press this F5 key, so that it's the alternative for Ctrl G. Let's see what it does. If I press Ctrl G, it brings up the go-to window or the go-to dialog box. And here, I'll say I want to go to cell, let's say A30, and press Enter or OK. And it takes me to cell A30. It's a very good navigation tool, because you might be wanting to go to a specific cell. So instead of scrolling down and you want just to go to cell A30, you'd say, I want to go to cell A30 by pressing Ctrl G and saying you want to go to cell A30. In this case, I want now to go back to cell A9. So it will take me back to cell A9. And I don't even have to tell it I want to go to cell A9. It automatically pops up the cell A9, the last cell I went to. You see, it is now showing I have gone to cell A30 and cell A9. So which other cell do I want to go to? And you can see it already picks A30. So I can now change if I want to go to A31 and say A31 and enter. Then when I press Ctrl G, shows me the last cell that I was A9. So I can go back to cell A9 and I press enter and go back. That's a navigation shortcut. We have Ctrl H as another or the next Excel shortcut, which opens the find and replace feature that allows you to find any text and replace it with another text or any data that you want to replace it with. So if you want to find and replace, kindly Ctrl H. But if you just want to find, Ctrl F. Ctrl F for find. If you want to replace, Ctrl H. So for example, you have got a text that is a template that contained some data relating to another company, and you'd want to replace the whole data with a new set or some text, for example, ABC Limited to XYZ Limited. You just press Ctrl H. So in this case, let's say I want to replace anything that has options, or let's call it options, because I can see a word like options in my worksheet. So whatever has options, I want it to replace it with alternatives. Options to alternatives. And I can say replace all. If I want to replace all the words that have options, alternatives. Now, Excel tells me that all done. We made one replacement. So if I look at the replacements that have been made, were here. There was option here that has been changed to alternatives. So this is okay now. I can press OK. But because I don't want to replace that, there's a shortcut called Ctrl Z, or Ctrl Z. So I'll press Ctrl and the Z letter on the keyboard, and it will undo whatever that has been done over here, so that now I have options here instead of alternatives. Then we can have Ctrl I, which is a formatting shortcut. And what it does is that it formats cells, font style in italics. I will select, for example, this up here and press Ctrl I. You can see my text is now in italics, not as the others. This set of data over here is now in italics. If I want to undo the italics, I can still Ctrl I, and it takes it back to the font that it was. So to make something in italics, you press Ctrl I, like I've done for this that has I, so that it remains Ctrl I. The next shortcut is what we call Ctrl K. And what it does is that it inserts a hyperlink in the currently active cell. Now, there are times when you might, for example, want to have all the worksheets in the workbook referenced in one worksheet. So let me say I want to add another worksheet over here. I want to add another worksheet. I can add that one there and bring it to the beginning and call it hyperlink, or can call it Ctrl plus K. So if I press Ctrl plus K, it will give me them. So let me start with a Ctrl plus K. What comes up is that pop-up window. And once that pop-up window comes, I say place in this document. So when I say place in this document, then it will show me the list of worksheets in this workbook so that I can choose which one I want to link. Because Ctrl K cannot be hyperlinked, we don't want to hyperlink to the window that we are hyperlinking. We'll go to the next one, which is the cover page. So I'll click on cover page here. Once I click, it's already hyperlinked. So that if I click this link, it takes me to cover page. Wow. Next, I can Ctrl K. And in this case, now I want to hyperlink Excel shortcuts worksheet. And if I click on this, it takes me to the Excel shortcuts worksheet. And finally, the last one that is here is Ctrl K. I go to Ctrl E. So I can click that. And now this becomes like a navigator. Sometimes you have volumes and volumes of worksheets, and you'd like to access them from one point. So you can have all of them linked from this worksheet, so that anytime you want to choose which one you want to go to, it's easy for you to move to the worksheet that you want to go to by clicking on the hyperlink. So that is what Ctrl K does. Then we have Ctrl L, Ctrl T, which opens the Create Table dialog box. If you want to create a table for your data, Ctrl L or Ctrl T will do. Let's go to Ctrl E, because we have a table there. And in this particular case, we can now say Ctrl T or Ctrl L. You can see what it does, that it brings a pop-up window for the Create Table, and it's asking you where is the data for your table. So in this particular case, I'll say the data is from here all the way to here. So I'll highlight the whole of the table. And once I do that, it asks me whether my table has headers. And in this particular case, yes, it does. So I'll say my table has headers by ticking the box and then click OK. Now you can see my data is in form of a table. Only that I said it has headers, and those headers have not been captured well. So I can go ahead and now press Ctrl L. The other time I pressed Ctrl T, so I'll press Ctrl L, and it now picks my table, and I can uncheck my table has headers checkbox. And in that particular case now, I have my table. We have got Ctrl N as the next shortcut, and Ctrl N does create a new workbook. So if you want to create a new workbook from where you are, you just press Ctrl N. Let's see what it does. Ctrl N, and a new workbook is open. Ctrl N, and a new workbook is open. So that you can open a new workbook from where you are. Then we have Ctrl O, which again now is used to open those existing workbooks. Ctrl O opens an existing workbook. It opens an existing workbook. We have Ctrl P, which as an alternative of Control as F2, and this opens the print preview window. So if I press Ctrl P, the print preview window pops up. In an earlier lesson, we learned how you can format your document for printing. If you have not watched it, you can watch on our YouTube channel. But then what the Ctrl P does is it brings up the print window or the print preview window so that you can choose how you want to print your document. And we said it can also be, or an option to that is Ctrl F2. So if I press Ctrl and press the key, again, that is what happens. The print preview window pops up. you want to display the analysis options for selected cells that contain data, then Ctrl Q is your shortcut. So if I press, for example, if I go to Ctrl E that has my data over here, and I press Ctrl Q, and I press Ctrl Q, you need to press Ctrl Q where there is data. You've had to, when I press Ctrl Q where there was no data, there was some sound showing that it's not going to work. So if I press Ctrl Q, the whole of my table here has been highlighted. And what does is that it wants me to do quick analysis. Do I want data bars, for example? Do I want color? Do I want concept? Do I want greater than or shorter or less than? Do I want top 10? Do I want to clear the whole of the data? So I can do quite a number of things very fast. It charts. And if it's charts, which chart do I want? Do I want the stacked charts? I can say okay. And quickly, you'll see that my quick analysis or Q has enabled me to do a chart in whichever chart I want for that matter. We'll learn later on the creation of charts. So for now, this is just about the shortcuts. Now, the next shortcut is Ctrl S, which does save your document. So if you press Ctrl S, what it does is that it asks you where you want to save your document and in what format, and it saves your document. This is an alternative to pressing this icon over here on the quick access toolbar. If you press this, it even tells you the shortcut to that is Ctrl plus S. Ctrl plus U is the next shortcut, and this adds or removes underline to the contents of a cell, selected data, or a selected range of cells. So if, for example, I decide to highlight the whole of this set up to where Ctrl U is, and I press Ctrl U, you can see the whole of that set of data that I've highlighted or selected has been underlined. We can also underline or remove the underline by pressing Ctrl U again. And this is the shortcut to going all the way to Home tab and that underline Ctrl plus U. Click this will underline, but the shortcut that is Ctrl U. We already talked about Ctrl V, that what it does is that it saves Ctrl V pastes data stored in the clipboard into the currently selected cell. Like you copy and then you paste. It is the shortcut to going all the way to the Home tab and selecting this paste option here. You must first of all Control copy or Ctrl X so that this can come up. Now this is the shortcut for going all the way to paste, and you can see it tells you that paste can be done by Ctrl V. There's Ctrl X that I have forgotten to include in the list, which cuts your selected data so that you can paste it elsewhere. And that is the shortcut for going all the way to the clipboard in the Home tab and clicking on that icon that I've clicked over there. Next, we have Ctrl plus Home, and this helps you to go to cell A1, the first cell in the worksheet. Imagine that you are in cell number 1001. For example, let's say we are somewhere there in cell number 110. To go back all the way to cell A1, one will have to scroll up all the way and get to cell A1. It takes a long time to do so. Instead, if you are at that cell, what you do is you press Ctrl and press Home, and in a click, it takes you to cell A1, the first cell in the Excel worksheet. We have Home, that key on the keyboard written Home, and that helps you to go to the beginning of a row. So assuming that I am at a row E, I want to go back to the beginning of that row, I'll just press the Home key, and you can see it takes me back. Instead of scrolling and going back to the row, beginning of the row by using the directional keys and the tab, I'll just do Home, and it takes me back to the beginning of that row. The next key is, or the shortcut is Shift plus Tab, and this does select the adjacent cell. So if I press Shift plus Tab, it helps me select the adjacent cell. You can see Shift plus Tab helps me select the adjacent cell. Next, if you want to navigate from one cell to the other, from the to the right, from the left to the right, you'll tap the Tab key and or the right directional key. So if I press on the Tab key, for example, and the Tab key is this on the keyboard, the Tab key. So if I press the Tab key here, you can see it's taking me to the next cell, but to the right, the next cell to the right. That's what we call Tab key. I can as well use the right directional key, this key over here, the right directional key, this key over here. So if I click on the right directional key, it serves the same purpose as the Tab key. I can be moving all the way. But if I want to go back, the opposite of Tab is Shift Tab. So I'll press Shift and Tab, and it will be taking me back to the left. If I want to scroll to the left, I'll press Shift plus Tab. Shift plus Tab. It now takes me to the left. The same thing that we talked about in Shift plus Tab. So it takes me to the left. Tab alone takes me to the right. Shift plus Tab takes me to the left. Shift plus spacebar is the next important Excel shortcut, which selects the entire row. So if I press Shift and the spacebar, the entire row will be selected. You can see the entire row is selected. So Shift plus spacebar selects the entire row, and the spacebar is this key over here. This is the spacebar. For those who have not interacted with it well. If I press Ctrl plus the spacebar, I'll select the entire column. So if I press Ctrl and the spacebar, the entire column is selected. You can see my entire column there has been selected. If I take it to the other side and press Ctrl and Shift and the spacebar, again, the entire column is selected. Ctrl plus Shift plus Home selects all the cells to the start of the worksheet. So I'll press Ctrl, Shift, and Home. And let's see what's going to happen. So we are now selecting all the cells at the beginning of the worksheet, but from the cell that I have done the selection. Probably I am at page down. I'll press Ctrl Shift and Home, and it takes me back. It will select all the cells from the cell that I've selected to the beginning of the worksheet. Next is that if I want to select all the cells to the last used cell of the worksheet, I will press Ctrl, Shift, and the directional key. Ctrl plus Shift plus the directional key. It can be the up, down, left, or right directional key. So to demonstrate that better, I need to go to this worksheet over here, and I then press the shortcut, Ctrl Shift, then the directional key. In this, I'll press the right pointing directional key. And you can see it selects all cells from the beginning of the row to the last row. But this is only those cells that have data. Because we said, if I want to select cells that do not have data, the entire row, I will press Shift plus the space bar to select the entire row. But if I want to select the entire set of data, or where there is data in the entire row, I'll press Ctrl Shift and the directional key. Even if I was to begin from this side where there's Samuel Peters, I'll press Ctrl Shift, and now in this particular case, I will click on the left directional key, and it will highlight the whole of the row where there is data. Sometimes you may want to select the data. Maybe you want to select up to column 3 where there's date of admission. What you do in that case is you will press the Shift. You'll only now press the Shift key and the directional key. In this case, I'm pressing on the Shift key and the right directional key, so that I'll be selecting the data cell-wise, so that it does not select the whole of the data, and I want to select it maybe up there. Once I've reached there, maybe I want to select the data downwards again up to the last cell. So I'll press the down key once, twice, thrice, and the fourth time I will have selected the whole of the data. So Ctrl plus Shift plus directional key will select all cells to the last used cell of the worksheet. If I want to move one screen up, I'll press the page up key. This key here, page up. So I'll click on page up. You can see it's taking me up. If I want to move down one screen, I'll press the page down key, and it takes me down to where we want. Page down to move one screen down, and page up to move one screen up. This helps you if you have volumes and volumes of data. Instead of someone scrolling down this way, even if it runs very fast, you'll find that it takes a long time for you to navigate through your data. So to help you navigate quickly, just press the page down or page up navigation keys, and they'll take you very fast where you want. What if you want to move one screen right or one screen to the left? Maybe you have a lot of data, and you remember that Excel has got so many columns that you can have a lot of data in many screens. You can see I'm now at that is LX and still not done. So you can have a lot of data again to the right. Now, if you want to move one screen to the left, and in this particular case, we want to move to the left. One screen to the left, I'll do Alt plus page down. So it will be taking me to the left. Alt page up will take me to the right, and Alt page down will be taking me to the left. So that it's easy for me to move and navigate. But as well, you click back by using this scroll bar down here. So it takes you back to the first screen or window. Now, sometimes you might want to enter data in the same cell, but in new lines. So to start a new line within a cell, the shortcut for that is Alt plus Enter. Let's demonstrate that. I want to add a new column here, and I want to type I am learning MS Excel shortcuts. Probably at that point, you want to have a new line. It's like a new paragraph. What you do is you press Alt plus, okay, without pressing Alt plus Enter, let's see what's going to happen. Maybe just go ahead and say that Excel shortcuts enjoyable. And very important. Full stop. So without Alt Enter, that's what happens. Like it's one line. But when I go to where I want to have the new line, I'll press Alt and Enter. And now my data is aligned as I want it to be. You can see I am learning MS Excel shortcuts is in one line, and the Excel shortcuts are enjoyable and very important is in a new line. I can expand that so that you can see that that's what has happened. So there are times when you want maybe in Excel to format a document and you find that your data or your words are overlapping to the next line. What you do is Alt plus Enter in order to have a new line. Okay, so I'll delete that so that we can progress. If you want to insert or edit a cell comment, if you want to insert or edit a cell comment, what you do is press Shift plus F2. So in this case, we have no cell comment, so we can do Shift plus F2. And you can see what it does is that it says Samson Okare wants to type some cell comment. So I'll go ahead and type cell comment and say MS Excel shortcuts. So that is how one can insert or edit a comment by pressing Ctrl plus F10. If you'd like to maximize the currently selected window, like this one, you'll press Ctrl F10. So Ctrl plus F10 will maximize the window. You can see now my window is maximized. But if you wish to minimize it, you just press Ctrl F9. So I'll press Ctrl F9 and my window will be minimized. If you want to format a number in comma format, you'll press Ctrl plus Shift plus the exclamation mark. That's to format a number in comma format. Now, for example, we have some number here. Let's say this is 10,000 or whatever the number is, but you would like this number to be formatted in comma format. What you do is we'll press the Ctrl plus Shift plus the exclamation mark. So I'll do Ctrl Shift exclamation mark, and you can see my data quickly gets formatted in the comma format, so that you don't find a lot of difficulty in doing that. If you have a lot of data, you highlight the whole of it, Ctrl Shift plus the exclamation mark, and your data will be formatted in the comma format. If you want to format the data in date format, you will then press Ctrl Shift plus the hash icon. So let's say we have some data here, and I want to create some data quickly by using a formula random, and I want to have random between 1000 and 4569, whatever it is there, and I want to create the numbers up there. I'll want to copy them and paste them so that they don't change, because these are random numbers. So probably I want to set this into dates. Remember, every date has a number. So let's see what's going to happen in this case. We have said we press Ctrl Shift and the hash icon. Now you can see my data has been formatted in the date format. For example, this is 29th of September 1964, and this is 20th of January 1988. This is 4th of October 2022, and so forth. So that is how you can set your data in date format. Probably even this one that is here may not be in date format, as much as it shows that there are dates. So to do that, you do Ctrl Shift plus hash. Make sure that your data is in date format, because formatting of data in the correct format will usually help you a lot when navigating on and evaluating or analyzing data. If you want to format your data in the percentage format, you'll do Ctrl plus Shift plus the percentage icon. So again, we can do that on this other worksheet. Probably have got some data. Let me again now have random numbers, and this time I want to run between 0 and 100, because percentage cannot exceed 100. And I'll scroll it down, but again I said I have to copy it and paste it in number, so that it is not going to be changing, because random numbers keep changing. So I want to set the whole of this data in percentage format. So I'll do Ctrl plus Shift plus percentage. And you can see it's showing me the numbers in percentage. Only that because they were large numbers, it's showing a large percentage. If I want to format my data or numbers in currency format, so I want to show that this is in Kenya shillings, in Ugandan shillings, in the US dollar, in the Japanese yen, and whatever currency I want, or South African rand, I'll go to my data. Let's say I can have some values here by randomly creating them. And maybe I want to create randomly between 1,000 and 25,000, so that I have got some data there. I again copied and I said I have to paste it so that it does not keep changing. Now I want to format this data in currency format. So I'll do Ctrl Shift and the dollar mark. So you can see in this case, it has formatted my data in the British pound format, but I can go to my home tab under currency. I can still customize the currency that I have. I can go ahead and customize it to that currency that I would like to have using the symbol. For example, maybe I want it to be in the Canadian dollar, maybe I want it to be in the Canadian dollar or the Russian, whichever currency I want from here. There are as many as they currently are in the world. So I can go ahead and choose whichever currency that I want. For example, in this case, I can go ahead and choose the Romanian Moldova there and say okay, or I can choose the British pound and say okay. So whichever currency you want to choose, you can customize it by going to the home tab and go to the numbers group. If you want to format your data scientific format, you press the Ctrl Shift plus that heart key. The heart key is on the keyboard is this over here. This key over here. So, for example, let me say I have again another set of data here. Let me create the data randomly equal to random. In this case, maybe random between 0 and 50,000 or whatever that can be. I can create some numbers there by auto-filling and format them. So I want to format this in Ctrl Shift. We have said plus the heart key, and it will format it scientifically. Scientific means by multiplying by or raising to the number of or the exponent of. So in this particular case, you can see it is formatting it scientifically. So if I want to change this from scientific to just the normal number format, I can just go ahead and do it. Ctrl Shift plus the exclamation mark, and it will take me back. If I want to go back to the scientific format, Ctrl Shift plus that key, and it takes me back to the scientific format. Then if I want to save a document as, there are two ways. I can save a document as by clicking on File and going to Save As. There is a Save As over here. But alternatively, I can do the F12 key and it will help me save as. And the save as will help you to save it either as a PDF document, an Excel workbook between 97 and 2003 version. You can save it in whatever format that you have. There are so many formats that are present. Then Ctrl F4 is the next shortcut, which will help you close the current workbook. So if you want to close this current workbook here, I can press Ctrl F4. And you can see it asking me, where do I want to save it? And by default for me, I've said I want to save it in the desktop, but I can scroll here to decide where I want to save my workbook. If I want to close all the open workbooks. Maybe I've opened a number of workbooks and I would like to close all of them in one click. I'll press Alt and F4. And this will close all my workbooks in Excel. Ctrl F1 is the shortcut that helps me to show or hide the ribbon. So if I press Ctrl F1, you can see the ribbon shows up. This is what we call the ribbon. If I press Ctrl F1 again, my ribbon is now hidden. So to hide or show the ribbon, press Ctrl plus F1. If I want to cancel a cell entry and get out of that cell, I'll press ESC. ESC is escape. That key at the top of the keyboard here. This is what we call escape key. So I'll create some data here. For example, let me type some number here. And if I want to cancel that number and move out of that cell, I'll press escape. So you can see that number is no longer appearing. If I want to insert a line break within a cell, of course, that one we have done, it's Alt Enter, whereby you want to go to or insert a line break or go to the next line. Now, backspace helps me to delete characters to the left of my text or data. And it helps me to delete characters to the right. What do you mean by that? That somebody at times gets difficulty in deleting something. Let's say you have got some data over here. If you want to delete anything to the left, you press on the backspace. If you are already here at the beginning and you want to delete anything to the right, you'll press the delete. So the delete key will delete everything that is to the right, and the backspace will help you delete whatever is to the left, so that you don't have to move the cursor all the way to the beginning to delete, or to the end to delete using backspace. So you use the delete to delete whatever that is to the right, and you use the backspace to delete whatever characters are to the left of your worksheet. Wanted to add a cell, a row, or a column, what I'll do is just do Ctrl plus. For example, I want to add another column between the two columns. I'll highlight where I want to add that column, and I'll Ctrl plus. And you can see already I have a column. If I want to add a row, I need to highlight where I want the row added. For example, in this case, I want it to be added between F12 and Ctrl F4. So I'll do Ctrl plus, and you can see a row has been added. And I can add as many as I want by doing Ctrl plus. Now, if I want to delete a row, I don't have to go all the way to somebody highlights the rows, then goes to the right click, like you highlight that, you right click, and then you say delete. That's a long process. For me to delete a row, a column, I like the row or column that I want deleted, like I like this column here, and I'll Ctrl minus. In a click, I'm done. So Ctrl minus helps me to delete a cell, a row, or a column. I can even delete this cell here. For example, by doing Control, let me delete one that has data so that we can undo. I can do Control minus. And you can see it's asking me, do I want to shift cells to the left, right, or up? I can use even up and say, okay. You can see that has been deleted. But I can undo that, we said, by Control Z, Control Z. Control Z undoes, Control Z undoes the last done action, and Control Y redoes it. So Ctrl Y is redoing last action, and Ctrl Z is undoing. If I want to show a formula, I'll press Ctrl plus the icon at the top of the keyboard. So I'll do Ctrl plus that icon on the top of the keyboard, this one over here. It looks like an inverted quotation mark. So show the formula, like say I have a formula here. It's equal to this plus this times this, as much as there is no data there. Sorry, because there is no number there, it might not show. Let me have this one here now. So given that I have data here, I can say it's equal to this minus this plus this times that minus that. So you have 50.1 there. So I want to show the formula. I'll press Ctrl and that icon we have shown there. So you can see it shows us how the formula has been derived. It shows us the steps. Sometimes you might want to audit the formula to see whether the correct steps have been done as a reviewer. And in that particular case, you'll press Ctrl and that icon I've shown on the keyboard here, the lower icon, and to show you the formula of how whatever is there was arrived at. Next is how to enter current date, current time, and lastly, how to auto sum, a very important shortcut that we are going to look at. So if you want to enter the current date, you press Ctrl and the full column. So you can see, for example, today is on 23rd of May, 2021. So it will show us the current date. If you want to show the current time, you can go to home and set it as a date in the date format. Or we can use that formula we have said to set it as a date format. So the date today is that. So we can do Control and that, it shows at the date. We can check on the date how it is it's misbehaving, but we can check it later on. If I want to set the current time, I'll press Control and Shift, so that I'm now going to use the semicolon. And it shows me it's now 13:23 hours. So to show the current time, Control Shift, so that you are entering the current time is Control and the semicolon, and the current time is using the Control and the semicolon. So current date, Control and colon, current time is Control and the semicolon. If you want to sum data, you do Alt plus equals. That will be our last formula for today, or last shortcut for today. So for example, I have marks by these Excel students here, and I want to auto sum. I want to sum the marks. Somebody will say they'll go to equals sum, and then they highlight the whole of this. But to avoid that, I think because I said show formula, that's why it's trying to show what is there. Now, to avoid that, what you do is press Alt equals, and you can see it automatically will give you the summation of whatever is there. So you'll do Alt equals, and it will add for you whatever is there, and you don't need to type the formula. So that is it for today. As far as Excel shortcuts are concerned, I hope another thing, subscribe to our channel so that you will be updated on more and more that is going to come. Thank you.